part that makes use of the word capitulate, and which you confirmed was a fair translation, says this, and please confirm if you can see that at page 6. That is D1100130295. This is what it states. We want to focus, Jonas, that is at tab 17.
Page 6?
Yes, page 6. Ken D1100130295.
As we did before, do you think you can read that line, maybe one line above it and one line below?
I'll be very happy to do that.
In the language,
yes,
the native language, so we can.
I'm obliged, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. Witness, you have that text with you, page 6.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to see the part where the word capitulate is used, and I will read the sentence around there. Can you see the sentence which says, "Kimaje giro che maginye jage ngejerok choto ko kagoechu komi President Mwai Kibaki chalwe komi ne kanyitot Raila Odinga ak kapchelit komite ne kanyitot Ara Kalonzo Musyoka." Can you see that, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you confirm this is the translation in English? We want to focus on political aspirations. That is Kikuyu, President Kibaki, the Luo, Honorable Raila Odinga, and the Kamba, Kalonzo Musyoka. Can you see that, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. President, I assume these names are fairly familiar now. I don't need to spell them.
Yes, you don't need to spell Odinga and Kalonzo.
Neither do I need to spell President Kibaki. I think that one is now familiar. Now, Mr. Witness, could you confirm that on the face of that document, it is evident that the capitulate as used in that statement is a reference to Kamba people?
Yes, Your Honor.
And having taken you through that, Mr. Witness, could you confirm that you could have been mistaken in thinking that capitulate is a reference to Kikuyus when in fact it is a reference to Kambas, from your general knowledge?
Your Honor, I can say that both the Kamba and the Kikuyu at that time were holding PNU. So if Mr. Sang was referring to the Kamba or the Kikuyu, they are holding PNU, Your Honor.
That's okay, Mr. Witness. I understand your explanation. But I would still want you to answer the question as I've asked you. Do you recollect now that, in fact, the word capitulate is a reference to Kamba?
I cannot say it is because it is the first time for me to know that it refers to Kamba, but at first I thought it refers to the Kikuyu community.
And in your interview with the prosecution, and also in your presentation of evidence, you say you have no understanding of what it means to make reference to somebody as capitulate.
I said, Your Honor, that I don't know the meaning of the word capitulate. I didn't say that I don't understand who was referred to, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, when I played the audio to you at the start of the audio, you could see that it related to people coming to campaign for PNU, isn't it? That was time bought by PNU, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
You would confirm to the court that, in fact, this was the period before elections on the face of the audio.
Yes, Your Honor.
You also confirm that you recognize the voice of Mr. Joshua Sang.
Yes, Your Honor.
You also recall the voice of Mr. Pastor Chemaswet.
Yes, Your Honor.
You also can understand, you also notice the use of the word captured, which is part of your evidence, isn't it?
I didn't get your question, Your Honor.
Let me put the question the other way, Mr. Witness. Could this be either the program or one of the programs that you had Mr. Sang broadcasting and from which you became concerned that he had used the word captured?
Your Honor, the program which I had added before, but not particularly that topic. But according to me, the times of which Joshua Sang used the words that I've said, or in particular captured it, was not in a program whereby people were taught history of Kalenjin and other communities. It was during a way which Mr. Sang could describe to the Kalenjin community how they have been used by the government of the former President Mwai Kibaki. And he was warning the Kalenjin community not to elect a Kikuyu again. And he was referring them in such names, Your Honor.
And is it your testimony, Mr. Witness, that Mr. Sang used that word in only one program or in various programs?
In various programs, Your Honor.
And is this one of the programs that Mr. Sang used that word, Mr. Witness?
I can't confirm because I can't remember now, but he used it in several programs, Your Honor.
And so it is your testimony that because of passage of time and probably him having used it several times, you can't confirm whether you had this one specifically?
Would have used it, but I don't remember for now, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, it is also true that the Kamba community, or at least most of them at that time, were in ODM Kenya, isn't it, Mr. Witness?
ODM Kenya was part of PNU, Your Honor. I can say that they were in PNU, Your Honor.
And isn't it true, Mr. Witness, that they went into an arrangement with PNU after the elections, Mr. Witness?
I don't remember, Your Honor.
Now, regardless of the relationship between PNU and ODM Kenya, you would confirm as a statement of fact that most campers were in fact in ODM Kenya, isn't it, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, I want to ask you just a few more questions, then we are done with that audio. The first one is that you confirm that in this program, Mr. Sang makes reference to various political parties that include KADU, ODM Kenya, and ODM, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
You will also confirm that he very specifically used the words that he is giving everybody an opportunity upon paying for airtime to enable the public make informed choices, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, you will also confirm that on the face of that audio, Mr. Sang does not express any preference to any political party or to any individual.
I confirm, Your Honor.
It is also true that Mr. Sang does not pressure anybody to go to either political party or to support anybody.
I confirm in that audio only, Your Honor.
Mr. President, at this point, and Your Honors, at this point, I want to pray that the audio and the transcript and the translation be admitted as an exhibit in Mr. Sang's defense.
Your Honor, the prosecution objects to those, the audio and the transcript and translation being adduced as exhibits. I don't want to reiterate what I had said initially, But I think there's a clear difference between what the witness has stated on the record regarding what he heard in this word, Cheptelet, as from the last audio recording, where there might have been room to think that he was referring to the same audio recording. What we have on the record in regards to this specific audio recording is that the witness clearly states that the subject matter in which he heard Cheptelet in the last audio recording was different from what he heard here today. So on that basis, I think we need to put it in simply as a mark for identification, Your Honor.
Mr. President, my understanding of what the witness said is that it is possible that it is one of the audios he had. It's just that he can't confirm owing to recollection.
The document will be accepted. It's next in the defense exhibit. There is the identity of that terminology, capture letter that was used.
I must oblige to Mr. President.
Okay. The audio CAN D11 0013 0039 will bear the following number: EVD T D11 00022. Its translation CAN D11 0013 0290 will bear the following number: EVD T D11 00023. Both items will be registered as public.
So I take it we are looking then at Sang Defense Exhibit 22 and Sang Defense Exhibit 23.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I must oblige. Mr. President and Your Honors, I wish to move to a different issue, which is found at tab number 5 in the bundle. And Mr. Witness, I would like to play an audio of Mr. Sang's broadcast and request you to confirm if you recognize his voice, and then I'll ask you a few more questions. Mr. President, the audio I seek to play is CAN D11 0013 0023 at tab number 5, and it was already marked as MFI T D11 00012, being an audio broadcast of 30th November 2007. I request for the assistance of the court officer to give a hard copy to the witness. No, Mr. Witness. Mr. Witness, the audio I want to play does not have a transcription, it only has a translation. So I will request that you listen to the audio and then we will confirm if the English translation is accurate.
Ya kita boleh nggak pakai segera. Kasih apa malo? Oi. Yes, William.
Kalau ini, kita kita magi camai. Kangetin, yereng gunang ko imba lemek ko dangunan dagi magi lewenin kaila engkasaran. Yoginya. Ko kita gue jamai ni gini. Nepoti ya mengul. Ko gunang lemek ko kere kita. Wage jamai. Ko gini gi wage cek mai kita lagi kere nengo. Lagi Temutego mia mage takisip chamai.
Atebe iman gemwa ko miyo guna takigere jita na tare tibi lakini eng chamai no tangete inendat ko mi gino ngena ko chamai no tos ki otabungo nya ko tebe ole chamai ni ko takin gano unga ni mugono ngo ne ba shoni ki mu ko jibi kyo ndanyure anda na tede
ko ne yarafsa chamai ni guna ni ko gibanguna na go wango ge usna ba odiya Wato magana ile takinge. Kisibi gityo, o kisibi chita nenyoda ndamara Ruto ko mageben.
So mami gine gere ile chama kutindo ngori ne muje nyukwa unto mo mwagi na tosa jibi.
Kage. Igere check pick up kole nyingo gito magana go miengale gap chama hivi. Ingele gitu chega no engasarta nago. Ingele kakitien jogo ketien jogo kipkoda ke mande.
Arai.
Nguno ni.
Oi.
Ko nekisike kai ko nyeka ake kaste. Nguno ke ma kikerera nuniton.
Okay. Ko nito kineti kerani kele tos ongen ole bo kamanut mising eng chamait age tugul no mite orit anan nakolenjok chito okwea abun chamaini bo kamanut okuye chamaini orit komye mutai kakur National Governing Council ibu oe ne ibu otile ne ingetile ngumonye stek eng chamait ko puch kabisa mami ki nakarge obwoti atkinye kano kingopcheigei kobo biik alake Mombasa akole acheket chikikano asili kokisirte kakekwege konget junyo ko bakasarani ko laja acheket chikebou ko kimnotet nikibit kityo ko chongindab biik chikimite komasta age ko chongindab chemung'arainik ko noto nekiimuch chamait kotelel akotebi lakini nguno tebege chito melen kole mokwei biik chongete eng chamainik acha ko biikwo ngolen baka lakini kita no tebe tos kiotebe angot akine ile chamaini siwendi biik kwe chamaini ko ne amune Among tole mi biik chokokilipan kongete chamainik alak sikokochi kityo sura kirong emetab Kenya kele maya chamaino kire kongete angot anum komeche kenai kele chamaini choto kotakyingei ano bunu ano pendi ano pongo.
Now, Mr. Witness, I would request that you listen to me and confirm if what I'm reading is what you just heard in the audio. But before we do that, could you confirm if you recognize, if there is any voice you recognize?
I recognize the voice of Joshua Sang, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, secondly, may I ask you, is that the general format that the program you said you used to listen to being Lene Metubtek?
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you explain that, Mr. Witness? Or let me put it to you so that it is easier. Could you confirm that it was generally in the nature that people would call in and express their positions?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you confirm that from the audio you've just heard, somebody was calling into the program and Mr. Sang was listening to him and making his own comments?
Yes, Your Honor, I confirm.
Now, Mr. Witness, I will read what was said in Kalenjin and then you confirm if it's okay. What is happening is, you see now the Luos. If it was not that we voted for Raila at Kasarani that time, they would have left this party we are in, the ODM party. So the Luos look at the person. They are not looking at the party. That is how we are as well. We want a person that we can see is wise, that we can follow, that will lead us. We do not want to follow a party as well. Mr. Witness, could you confirm that is what you had in the audio you just listened to?
I confirm, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, could you confirm that the person who was, what I've just read, is the substance of what a caller made, as opposed to Mr. Sang saying?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
I will go on reading, Mr. Witness. Then Sang says, I am asking, yes, it is true you have spoken well. We look at someone who helps the people, but in the party he is contesting under. Is there anything you know about that party? Have you ever sat down and asked where the party is headed and who is it supporting? Of what service can it be to the people if they come to power? Mr. Witness, could you confirm if that's a fair translation?
Your Honor, I confirm.
Mr. Witness, that's what Mr.
What are you seeking to do with this material, with this, in relation to this witness? In other words, does it have a bearing as to the testimony he has given?
Very directly, Mr. President.
Very directly? Okay,
yes.
Then proceed.
Mr. President, if you would rather, I can ask the question so that we don't spend a lot of time. But I can come back to, but I'm very satisfied in myself that it is very relevant.
It might be helpful if you asked the question, unless there is a strategic reason why you don't want to ask it first. If not, it will help everyone if you ask a question so we see the relevance of it.
What I would prefer, Mr. President, is to ask the question rather than explain it to you, what I am looking for.
That's what I mean. You use the question to make the point.
Now, Mr. Witness, you've listened to that audio, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, in your testimony the last few days, Mr. Witness, you said that Mr. Sang was almost wholly and exclusively dedicating his broadcast to promote Mr. Ruto, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, you would confirm that to the extent to which you've heard the audio, Mr. Sang is insisting that people should be more interested in belonging to parties whose policies they understand as opposed to supporting an individual.
Your Honor, I can say that even in the same audio that I listened, and even in the paper, Mr. Sang was trying, though he didn't mention the name of Mr. Ruto, he was trying to tell people that they should not look for the party, they should look for the person. And if they are going to look for the party, they should have to understand who the person they were supporting is. That's the message I got from the audio, and the same message is also written in the paper, Your Honor.
Had you heard Mr. Sang in the broadcast before, at the time, make that point?
He was always asking the Kalenjin community to rally behind Honorable William Ruto, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, I appreciate what you're saying. It is your explanation to this court that at the end of the day, Mr. Sang is asking people to support Mr. Ruto, isn't it?
He was doing so, Your Honor.
You say it is on the face of this document, this translation that you've just seen, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
The permission of the court, I'll read the next paragraph and then please let us know if it's a fair translation. Then Mr. Sang says, so you do not see anything that the party can do for you. Has it not said what it can do for the people? And then the caller says, what is happening? You see, we Kalenjins, we had not known about political parties because Kanu closed us off for a long time. When we decided to sing Jogo Kanu, we sang all the way. So now we are about to open our eyes and also listen. So we will learn from this one. Is that a fair translation, Mr. Witness?
It is, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, the next thing said is this. Thanks. That is why we are learning today that it is important that in any party that you are in, or any that someone tells you they want you to elect them under, it is important that you understand the party properly. If tomorrow it calls its National Governing Council, what are you going to decide? You know, if you do not have any stake in a party, it is useless. You remember when Kanu was divided, some went to Mombasa and said that they are in Kanu original. We have elected ourselves. Another group went to Kasarani and announced that no, we are the ones who are in control. So that the only determinant was the numerical strength of one side and a group which was full of money-minded people. That is what held the party. But now ask yourself, I'm not saying do not elect people. Those who have been sponsored by parties are your own. But what I want to ask is, have you inquired from that must be them, why they joined those parties? Because I am aware that some people were paid to contest in different parties in order to give semblance of national face, with the intention of showing people that so-and-so is in such and such party. It is good to know where the parties are heading, where they have come from, and who it belongs to. You can see that, Mr. Witness?
I can see, Your Honor.
And could you confirm that's a fair translation of what you heard?
It is, Your Honor.
For the record, Mr. President, there is the use of the word Kasarani, and the spelling of Kasarani is Kasarani. There is also the use of the word Jogo, and that is Jogo. And Mr. Witness, it is your testimony that the ultimate intention of Mr. Sang there was to say that people should support Mr. Ruto. Is that what you maintain? That is what he said?
Your Honor, from what I heard myself, Mr. Sang was encouraging the Kalenjin community to support Mr. Ruto.
Now, Mr. Witness, I'll play out for you an extension of the same audio. Shortly after that, after what we've just gone through, I want you to listen, and then I will ask you a few questions. And Mr. Witness, that is at page 3 of the same document. The page 3 is Ken D11 0013 0027.
Kenya.
Kakwongora kamwa chicho kole kimite kalengo to deng muna nikikebe kimi kityo Arap Ruto kimi amuchin nyo. Akwonga ole umi chamait amuchingwong. Kityo kunoto akoyam kunot. Mayasine agenge eng tuguk chemanyalu umi chamait, lakini noto kityo nongen ole umi odiem amu Arap Ruto, for instance. Ndawendi kot komami Arap Ruto mutai komaumis. ndawendi mutai akot kole ongemande kebe chamait ni osubi otinye kit nemi muguleldo nemwoun sibo kabanu mabane kaptesot obo kaptesot mu korotik ak sigik ak tugul ongen mami betut age angonda kilen angonda sasa sigik kyo kumokamande sola kabunji kabarabito abo kaptesot milele ko inye yoto kemwai ko kele ibo kityo samukai amu chito nemi orit ak nyemanda ndaleng mutangebe yu osubi ako amune tos ongen ideologies chebo chamainik olobo kamanut America okitar to kumwa biik America sikomi biik kole mitei komi missing akobo ideologies chebo chamait akon mo chito ribe chito kabisa chamait nyi nebo Labour ko ribe ake nebo Democrats kabisa akongen tuguk chetelele chamait noto lakini manget ale kingen tuguk chetelele chamainik anan nyikelen kityo ngebe PNU ole ongebe kauno kokaba biik tugul ndo chang chamainik kimiro iwendi ingen koto kole ngot kitepto ano ngejero kitepto ano anan iwendi ndait koto ko kakechop kitondo koruyo biik keleyin imue tiege jeptige eng yo ta koit koron anan ko to die mele ko mo PNU ne ko to die mutai kakilo bwa nya ka authorities kile anyoni chamainik chikejen kochu anan biik chikingen kochu akwek chun nga kyobirweje omunyi nya koro kan ketar ke omishi asigiro ngonget nyo omishi.
Your Honor, the timestamp that I've just played is timestamp 27.35 to 29.23. Mr. Witness, may I read the English translation of what you just listened to, and please let me know if in your assessment it's a fair translation. I am surprised that that caller said that we are in the party only because our own Mr. Ruto is in it. So I am shocked. Mr. Witness, is that what you heard in the Kalenjin audio?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll go on, Mr. Witness. You are in a party just because because of your person. You mean just like that, and that is all? Well, that is not very bad. It is one of the considerations. But are you in a party just because Ruto is in it? If it happens that Mr. Ruto is not there tomorrow, will you not be there? If he says we move to another party, will you follow him? Do you have anything that prompts you in your heart? You belong to a family. For me, I belong to the family of Kaptesot. I belong to Kaptesot because of blood and parents and everything. I know that even if my parents disown me, I will not then belong to the Bitok family. No, I belong to Kaptesot forever. And now you know when you say I belong to a party because of someone. If tomorrow he leaves, will you follow him and why? Do you know that party ideology is very important? America, and I know the people from America will say so in due course. For America to get where it is because of party ideologies and not a person. People take care of their party, like Labour Party, Democrats. They know what the party stands for. Or they just come and say, let's go to PNU. And you say, yes, it appears everybody's there. There are many parties in it. Do you know the sitting arrangements in that house? Or are you going, and once there, you find that beds have been prepared for others to sleep, and you get an armchair to get you through the night? And even ODM, I'm not talking about PNU alone. If in ODM tomorrow you are told to come, and once you are inside, you are told these are the big parties that we know, or that the people we know are these ones, and for you, although you voted for us, just hold on. Let us first finish eating, and if there are leftovers, we will consider you. Mr. President and Your Honors, that is in Ken D11 0013 0027. Mr. Witness, is that a fair translation of what you had in Kalenjin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. May I spell some words which were in what I just read? There is Kaptesot, and the spelling is Kaptesot. then space, T-E-S-O-T. And then Bitok is B-I-T-O-K. Mr. Witness, you will confirm that in this, Mr. Sang is asking people to be interested to know the policies of the party as opposed to following an individual. Isn't it, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, always try to spell the words as you encounter them. That's easier for court reporters.
I apologize. It was my oversight. I realize that, Mr. President. I will endeavor to do that. Lastly, Mr. Witness, on that audio, I would like to play timestamp 002-127 just for the date when that broadcast was made.
The record did not pick up on the timestamps you indicated.
The timestamp I wish to play is 00 to 1 minute 27 seconds, Mr. President. And that is at page Ken D11 0013 0025.
Mutinji na bachi. Mutinji na bachi. Chotok pi ke jak lagi mo magegi. O muite ki o muite ki nyisangwan. Kabegi konne ara pedisik tu magtesap. Pedisik tu magtesap.
Mr. Witness, can you see where that is at page 1? Can you see that? Mr. Witness, that would be...
I have seen it, Your Honor.
May I request you to just follow it as the audio is playing, then we come back to it.
Kuchota ji muji kwa inarech kut kumutai muji yaigi ne muji garate na ga un vaishoni ke monyolo so onge muite age na gele kimi Kenya tugul onge jom nyet tugul o jom yog bi jo amukura ni chuki meje ko stoi kyo ngo ngimi pien nyu imeje gura ni ga big tugul imi odm imeje gura ni ga big tugul imi odm Kenya imeje gura ni ga big tugul imi jama ni ke chang ki meje so amuogi nyu imeje gura ni ga bche tugul ko kino ga manut ko kasar tan gi jom dos apurje tap Kenya tugul kijam to saburiye tap Kenya tugul ako isu joro no kwangut ko mi jil yon gula o isu le jipto kimi tugul kimi tugul mo magegi ngange to le changa lek teme bi gala ko sugo bor nguyon dit ing boryo shagap Kenya lakini ole jino kich ago muite ago kasari kuyo mwabi ke jang kutiege metap Kenya bigap kolenjin amogle bigap kolenjin ko jita ndo mugulel do ne barirke Jiji kutindo mulel do nema kiringale kutkula hajaja ma to ay tuta ka ko sirta juta kungu nay kasarta nito sabi.
Mr. Witness, could you confirm this is the English translation of what you just heard? So please don't touch anybody. Don't touch anybody. Many people are mocking you, but don't mind. Persevere. You have persevered for 4 years, and you are coming to an end. We have only 27 days to go. Is that a fair translation, Mr. Witness?
It is, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Witness. Then he goes on to say, only 27 days can make you be so angry to the extent that you could be jailed or put you under other unpleasant circumstances. So let us persevere and know that we are all in Kenya. Let us all love one another, love those other people, because the votes that we want, if you are in PNU, you need votes from everyone. In ODM, you need votes from everyone. In ODM Kenya, you need votes from everyone, or in any other parties, I will tell you, you need votes from everyone. What is important at this time is to love the entire community of Kenya and bring them close. Bring all your friends close. If there are some who are doubtful, bring them close. Tell them we are all together. Although I know there are many issues people bring forth to sow fear among the communities of Kenya. I tell you this time, stand firm and persevere. This time, as many people have said, the country Kenya is depending on the Kalenjin community because it is said that the Kalenjin has a heart of empathy. This Kalenjin has a heart that will see things and say this is excess. So this is the time to embrace that state of empathy. Ignore other things and save the country. Let us not be counted amongst those who destroy our country. Let us protect it. Mr. Witness, is that a fair translation of what you had in Kalenjin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, thank you very much. Mr. Witness, I would like you to confirm that you notice that Mr. Sang is saying that this broadcast is being made 27 days before elections.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you'd confirm those are the elections of 2007, isn't it, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Last few questions, Mr. Witness. You would agree that Mr. Sang is pleading that people should keep peace, isn't it?
Your Honor, as I read the statement which Mr. Sang made that day, it touched many things which I had also raised in my statement, Your Honor. For example, Mr. Sang was telling people not to touch any other person. What I wanted to say is that no one attacked anyone by that time. Or there was no, before election 27 days, there was no any fight in Kenya. Again, Your Honor, I saw, just give me a minute.
Mr. Witness.
Your Honor, I saw that Mr. Sang was saying that many people are mocking you, but I wondered how or which people were mocking the Kalenjin community, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. So that's the next question I was going to ask you, Mr. Witness. You confirm that the tone and the substance of what you've heard in this audio, and which you confirm its translation herein, is some of the things you heard Sang say a few days before elections, isn't it, Mr. Witness?
I didn't hear him saying that, Your Honor. I don't want to lie that I had. I just read it from this paper today.
Mr. Witness, did you testify that you heard Mr. Sang plead for peace sometime before elections?
It was after elections, Your Honor.
And did you hear him seek peace before?
I didn't hear him seek peace before, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, you also see that he says that we have to coexist and all political parties will need votes from everybody else, including ODM, PNU, and ODM Kenya.
I confirm that, Your Honor.
Mr. President, at this point, I would like to seek, this is an audio that we had played earlier on, and it was marked as an MFID 11-00012. I would very much pray that it be admitted as an exhibit.
Your Honor, once again, the prosecution is objecting to this being changed from an MFI to an exhibit. I understand that we've objected already for the two prior audio recordings, and the Chamber has indicated certain specific items that would allow for these audio recordings to go in as exhibits. I just want to reiterate the prosecution's point and our main concern, and the reason why I'm getting up every time defense counsel for Mr. Sang is trying to introduce these audio recordings, is that there is absolutely no evidence on the record as to the authenticity of the audio recordings. What we have is simply the witness saying, and actually in this case we don't have that, but the witness saying, well, maybe he might have been saying something in that line of thought, or yes, I did hear him say this word. But there is no evidence on the record for the chamber to determine whether the audio recording that we've heard actually was broadcast at the time which is purported, which is indicated on the document. And that's the big danger. And that's why I'm getting up every time and objecting to this going in as evidence. We run the risk of having, and this is unfair to the prosecution, having in the prosecution's case a certain amount of evidence, audio recordings or videos, which have been untested and for which there is absolutely no evidence, not an iota of evidence before the chamber of their authenticity, and which will have no value in the end. So once again, I'm objecting to this recording going in. The witness in this case has stated quite clearly that he doesn't remember Mr. Sang ever having said messages or given messages of peace prior to the post-election violence. Now, I understand defense counsel for Mr. Sang indicates that this is 27 days before the election, but we have no evidence on that point, no independent evidence, and we all know that defense counsel can't lead evidence. So those are my submissions. Once again, I don't believe that in a complete absence of authenticity, I don't think we should accept this as an EVD. I think that the chamber already established a clear line prior to the holidays and a clear ruling where the chamber stated that if the witness clearly recognized a video, then it could be admitted as an EVD. We're departing from that ruling for what my submission is no valid reason.
Mr. President, could I be heard before the consultation? Or?
We will admit the material. There's a difference, of course, between admitting the material because of identity of elements of the testimony of a witness and a document that's produced that relates to that. There's a difference between that and the ultimate assessment that will be made in the end as to the weight that should be attached to the material admitted. Prosecutor, these things are not that compartmentalized as to say a ruling of the chamber on a previous occasion has drawn such stark lines on things. It's a human process. We still have a judgment to make on these things. At the end of the day, we will have to make our evaluation on the evidence. We will hear your arguments as to weight and matters of that nature. There is, of course, a difference between where an opposing party tries to use a witness on the stand to put on record material that do not touch on what the witness had testified to in the main, with a view possibly to making a case, a no-case submission, as Mr. Ken had indicated they may make. There's a difference between that and trying to use a prosecution witness to anchor a case of no-case submission to be made ultimately. It's quite a different matter from where a witness for the prosecution had testified to certain matter and an opposing party wants to test that particular testimony on its own merit. I'm just explaining the ruling, not to invite an argument. We will then admit the material.
I'm most grateful, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. The audio CAN D11 0013 0023, previously registered as MFI T D11 00012, will now bear the following number: EVD T D11 00012. The translation CAN D11 0013 0024, previously registered as MFI T D11 00013, will now bear the following number: EVD T D11 00013.
Thank you very much.
And also, sorry, they will be referenced as Sang Defense Exhibit number 12 and number 13.
Thank you. I forgot to mention something I should have mentioned earlier. An anchoring element to this material was the witness's testimony that this material is still consistent with his earlier testimony, specifically that his reading of it and what he heard still had Mr. Sang saying support Mr. Ruto. Ultimately, he did say that.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Your Honors. Mr. Witness, I would like us to move to a different issue, being the issue of the video that you referred to yesterday and which you said the prosecution showed you and that you had watched in KTN. Do you recall that, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, may I ask you, do you recall when that function was conducted?
I don't remember the month or the date, Your Honor, but I recall it was in 1997, Your Honor. 2007, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, you also said that in the process of that event, Mr. Ruto was made a king. Did you say that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you confirm, Mr. Witness, that based on the video that the prosecution gave us and which you watched, and also the one that Citizen showed, that none of the speakers uses the word Mr. Ruto is a king?
I didn't listen all the testimonies, but according to me, on what I heard and what was done, is that Mr. Ruto was made both the spokesman and the king of Kalenjin community.
That's okay by me, Mr. Witness. All I want you to confirm that the idea that he's a king is the way you understood, and neither the speakers that were on that occasion nor the Kenyan media that covered that event referred to Mr. Ruto as a king.
I don't remember, Your Honor.
Could you confirm that what you mean by not remembering is that you don't remember anybody referring to Mr. Ruto as a king?
No, Your Honor. Even Lina Chebiki Limo referred him as a king. Many speakers, even Isaac Ruto, referred him as a king. Even the way he was dressed, it was the dresses of a king.
Mr. Witness, did Lina say a bull or did she say a king?
By saying a bull, it was in parables, but it eventually meant a king, Your Honor.
So even your understanding of what Lina said is an interpretation of what she meant, isn't it?
He was referring Mr. Ruto as a king when she said a bull, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Isaac Ruto did not use the word in English, a king, did he?
He was talking in Kalenjin, Your Honor.
But he didn't say a king, did he?
It is long time, but I remember he used the word Laitoriat, and Laitoriat means a king, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Witness, so we'll look at the audio and confirm if actually said that.
And the witness spelled the word Laitoriat?
L-A-I-T-O-R-I-A-T, Your Honor.
And Mr. Witness, you are absolutely sure that he said that?
I can confirm because it's long time, Your Honor, since I had the video. But I remember such word being used.
May I ask you again, Mr. Witness? I hope I'm not being unfair to you. You are absolutely sure that Mr. Isaac Ruto used the word king, Laitoriat?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, it is
One
also...
second. Line 16, the overlapping speaker difficulty is noted on the transcript. The witness said, did you say I can't confirm or I can't confirm?
Your Honor, I said I can't confirm.
You are not in a position to confirm, absolutely, isn't it?
I can't confirm, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, you also said that that function which you say Mr. Sang attended made Mr. Ruto a spokesman. Could you confirm that none of the speakers used that word also?
Your Honor, I've realized, according to the questions, I've realized that I mixed up two different functions, Your Honor. There was a function of making Mr. Ruto a king, and there was the function of naming Mr. Ruto as a Kalenjin who was standing for president, Your Honor. It came to my mind right now, Your Honor.
And so the video is which one, Mr. Witness?
I didn't see that video of which Mr. Ruto was pronounced a king.
And so it is now your testimony that there does exist another video where Mr. Ruto was made a king.
Your Honor, I don't know if there's a video, but there was a date of which Mr. Ruto was pronounced the king and the spokesman of Kalenjin, and it was at the same venue, Eldoret Sports Club, Your Honor.
So Mr. Witness, can I then proceed with my cross-examination on the understanding that you are no longer insisting that the audio we looked at is the one which made Mr. Ruto a king and a spokesman, the video?
The video, it's not the one, Your Honor. It has came fully to my mind, Your Honor.
You're saying the video we saw yesterday and continued with this morning during the prosecutor's examination in chief, was not the video or did not depict
Your Honor,
Mr. Ruto being made a king?
Your Honor, I'm saying that there were two different functions, and the function that I was saying that Mr. Ruto was being pronounced the king is not the video that we watched.
Thank you.
Mr. Witness, I'm concerned at both issues, the issue of being a king and the issue of being a spokesman. I understand you to have clarified that the video we watched is not the one that made Mr. Ruto a king. Could you also confirm that equally that video is not the one which made him a spokesman?
I confirm, Your Honor.
Mr. Kigenkatwa, I do not intend to stop you necessarily, but your cross-examination now seemed to be cross-examination concerning the part of the testimony dealing with Mr. Ruto, and you were counsel for Mr. Sang. I hope we will not have duplication at the end of the day. I know Mr. Khan signaled he will be cross-examining as well. I thought I should mention that so you know how much you lean on that theme in your cross-examination.
I appreciate, Mr. President. May I also say it's something that I very consciously and deliberately thought about, and so I'm asking the questions with that understanding. And I come from the position that it is said that Mr. Sang was there. And much as the testimony was later on withdrawn, it was said that Mr. Sang spoke in that function. And I just wanted to be sure whether the witness insists that Mr. Sang was there and witnessed the first accused being made a king.
Fair enough.
And Mr. President,
again, I did not say my intent, even if you want to act on behalf of Mr. Ruto, is between you and Mr. Khan, but I'm saying we don't want duplication.
Mr. President, just to allay the concerns, there won't be duplication. We've discussed the way to conduct matters in quite some detail, so I can assure the court there will not be unnecessary duplication.
Now, Mr. Witness, in the course of my cross-examination and in the course of asking you the question as to whether or not that video shows Mr. Ruto being made a king, you said part of what gives you confidence that he was being made a king is the attire he was wearing. You would like to withdraw that also, Mr. Witness, isn't it? Now that you say that was not the function of making him a king.
He was wearing it at the first place when he was made a king, and the manner of which he was wearing it on that day, he was also shown as a king, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, having withdrawn the contention that that was the event making him a king, I want to ask you now whether you want to alter the date which, according to you, that video was made. Do you now recall when that video was made?
I don't remember, Your Honor. But the date that, or the month that he was pronounced or made a king or the spokesman came before the date of which he was endorsed as the presidential candidate, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, my interest is actually the video that is already an exhibit. Do you know when it was made, when that function was conducted?
It was in 2007, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, yesterday when we were looking at the video, you were shown a transcript of the process of what went on in that function. I would like to show you the same transcript, and I request for the assistance of the court officer. Mr. President, I'm referring to Ken OTP 00690127 that was used by the prosecution to take the witness through the audio's transcription and translation.
It's tab 20.
Yes, Mr. President, it is tab 20. Mr. Witness, do you recall having been shown that audio, that transcript?
Yes, Your Honor.
Actually, just for the information of the chamber, I think it's tab 21. We use the translation, not the transcript.
Indeed. But that should not preclude you, if you want to refer to something in tab 20.
I must have liked. May I use it? I will make the point still with that document. Mr. Witness, I want you to look at the first page of that document. Can you see it? The cover page, Mr. Witness. You can see that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you see the date of recording? The date of recording on the left side, Mr. Witness.
03 of 06, 2006, Your Honor.
You confirm that the prosecution themselves state that the date of recording is unknown, but it could be 3rd of June 2006 as estimated by them, isn't it?
It is what I see in the paper, Your Honor.
And Mr. Witness, a function of 2007 could not have been recorded in the year 2006, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, it is true that you could have been mistaken on the date of that video, isn't it?
I was not mistaken, Your Honor, but I said from the start that I'm not sure of the year, Your Honor.
And so you're not, well, regardless, you're not sure it was 2007 even now, isn't it, Mr. Witness?
On my mind, I thought it was 2007, but I'm not sure if it was 2007.
Having seen the prosecution's document, do you still insist it was 2007, Mr. Witness?
I can't insist, Your Honor, because from the start I said I'm not sure of the year, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Now, most of your testimony, Mr. Witness, where you say Mr. Sang was in attendance, you had said, Mr. President, I'll leave that issue. Mr. Witness, I want us to go to a separate issue. And by way of laying basis, Mr. Witness, did you say that Mr. Sang advertised a meeting for Council of Elders?
It was not Mr. Sang, but it was advertised by KSFM, and Mr. Sang, on his Lene mate, he was telling people that the meeting will be there. But it was also advertised by KSFM.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. So your testimony is that on the one hand, there was paid up advertisement for the meeting, and separately, Mr. Sang hosted programs to announce the coming of that meeting. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Witness? I'm
not saying that Mr. Sang hosted programs, but in his program, he always reminded people that there will be a meeting here.
And Mr. Witness, did you say also that he hosted some people who were to come and discuss the dynamics of that Council of Elders?
Your Honor, it was Mr. Sang who was questioning those people to let the Kalenjin community to be knowledgeable about the Kalenjin Council of Elders, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, I have an audio that I would like to play out for you, and I would like you to confirm if in fact that audio is one of the audios you had where Mr. Sang is interviewing people, announcing the event and preparing them for the creation of the Council of Elders. Mr. President, I refer to tab 19, and it is audio Ken D11 0013 0067, and I would like to start with timestamp 49.21 to 53.06. Mr. Witness, I request to give you a transcript and translation of the audio so that you can follow as we play the audio. I request the court officer to assist to hand over the document.
We have 10 minutes left. In fact, less than 10 minutes. I think 8 minutes or so.
Mr. President, I would really like to play the audio and cross-examine in the same instance. And if it's, I would be happy to start with it tomorrow. I am aware that there was a pending issue of witnesses, and the remaining minutes could be spent on that.
Do you not have any other areas you will be getting to you might fit in within the time left?
Your Honour, can I just clarify, there were discussions over the break between the prosecution and the defence regarding next week, and I understand the prosecution can speak to it, but for one of their witnesses, clarity would be useful, and I think there's only about 7 or 8 minutes, so maybe the time could be usefully spent clarifying that issue for the scheduling for next week. Your Honour, I think that was the point my learned friend was alluding to.
I know that's what he's alluding to, but we're more interested in the testimony of a witness on the stand. So if there are some more questions that can be explored at this time, we should do that. If that's not easily done, then we'll understand that.
I could do one subject, a separate subject, Mr. President.
Yes, let's get on with that, please.
Now, Mr. Witness, you said that one of the concerns you have about the way Mr. Sang conducted his programs is that he was urging people not to allow creation of a constituency in urban areas. Did you say that, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honour.
Mr. Witness, you recall that in the history of Kenya, a commission was created called the Legale Commission in the year 2010 to discuss rearrangement of the boundaries, constituency boundaries, both constituency and local authority boundaries, Mr. Witness.
Yes, Your Honour.
Can you spell the word?
Legale is Ligale. Mr. Witness, that was in the year 2010, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honour. I don't remember the year.
But you'd confirm generally it was after the 2007 elections, isn't it?
I don't remember, Your Honour.
Okay, Mr. Witness. So we can rest the subject on the understanding that you do not recall whether it was before or it was after the elections. You are not sure of the time, Mr. Witness. It's okay if you can't remember, though.
Your Honor, I only say that I remember in 2007, it was that the constituencies was to be divided before the election of 2007, not after the election of 2007.
And at whose instance? Was there any national movement to change the boundaries, or was it just an idea that Sang was playing at the station?
It was proposed by the government, Your Honor. It was only reactions that Mr. Sang was giving to the people, Your Honor, after the announcement of the government.
So it is your testimony that it was a national issue, everybody was discussing it?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you said this was also an issue that was featured in the Lene program?
Yes, Your Honor. Not in Lene only, even people were invited also, some politicians and some Kalenjin learned people who were invited to let the people know about how the boundaries will be subdivided, Your Honor.
And even taking the format of Lene program, people would call in, others would visit the station, and they would express their positions about what they would prefer by way of rearrangement of the boundaries. Isn't it, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you would agree that there were people supporting creation, various varieties of changes of the constituency boundaries, Mr. Witness, isn't it?
There were many people because many constituencies were bigger than the others. People were supporting that it should be subdivided, Your Honor.
And so it was a national debate all over, isn't it, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor, I agree.
Mr. King Katwa, look at the clock.
Mr. President, I can stop there and I can confirm that subject is done. I can come back to the audio tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now excuse the witness from the stand for now and discuss the outstanding logistical question that you had broached. The witness, you will be excused for the day. We'll welcome you back on the stand tomorrow. Thank you. Can the blinds come down, please?
We're in open session, Your Honors.
Thank you. Since we all have our earpieces and microphones, while the blind is going up, is there anyone who's going to report on where things stand about scheduling? Mr. Garcia?
Yes, Your Honor. Just briefly, Mr. Steinberg spoke about this whole issue, and the issue is basically whether we have witness P464 come down or not and start testifying.
That's the expert.
Exactly, Your Honor. That's the expert. What we have right now is we have witness P128 who is waiting, and he's here in The Hague, so he's ready to start testifying. The question is, when would witness 128 start? The way things are progressing, I'm not sure, perhaps Mr. Kinkagwa can give us more precisions on this, but it seems like he'll be finished tomorrow, I imagine. If Mr. Defense Counsel, Mr. Khan, starts tomorrow in the last session, I think from what I understood of the conversation is Mr. Khan would take 3 days to cross-examine this witness, which would put us to Wednesday, approximately. If we start out with witness 128 on Wednesday, we'll have, we've estimated 1 day for examination in chief. That's Wednesday. Thursday, presumably, would be for cross-examination. I'm not sure how much time both defense counsel will need for him. But what will happen, obviously, is that the expert witness will have come here, and we might not be able to even start his testimony. Or if we start, then it's going to have to be cut in two. The thing is that he's obviously a professor at the university, and every time he comes down here, he needs a notice of a week. And he has to cancel, obviously, all his obligations, which are numerous, at the university. We spoke to defense counsel, and what we would be suggesting is that the expert witness testify at the start of the next session in one turn, in one go, as it is, examination in chief and the cross-examination. I understand that defense counsel would need 2 to 3 days, and maybe defense counsel will correct me on that, but in all it could take 3 or 4 days as testimony. So clearly, even if we do get to witness 464, we'll not be able to finish him in this session.
That is the understanding of all counsel?
Indeed it is.
In the circumstances, it is best not to invite the expert witness for this segment. So your agreed understanding seems reasonable to put his testimony over to the next segment.
Thank you, Your Honor. We will advise the expert witness.
Yes. But still, as regards 128, in view of the fact that we will stop cold on the 31st, all parties must make all efforts to fit in the questions within that time, cut out what we don't really need, and go to the crux of the matter. Thank you.
Your Honor, we will endeavour to do that. Just for the record, there was one additional matter that I discussed with Mr. Steinberg at his request, and was agreed to, and I think it's right to record it. Mr. Steinberg asked our understanding for our understanding of the witness protocol when it comes to experts, and we made it clear we don't say that it should apply to experts. They are in a different category. So I thought that view of the defence should be recorded, because I think it has implications to the prosecution regarding how they deal with the expert and what happens on his arrival. So, Your Honour, that was all I wish to raise and put into the record.
And prosecution, any reactions?
Grateful to counsel for the defense to rise that. Indeed, that was agreed upon by defense counsel from both teams and Mr. Steinberg and the prosecution.
The point is noted. We will now rise and reconvene tomorrow at 9:30.
All rise, briefly.